Leaks and boats aren't usually a good combination, but a father and son from Hobart are using timber that's been salvaged from a leaky hydro pipeline to build boats. The King Billy pine has come from the old wooden pipeline at Lake Margaret on the west coast and was sold for the bargain price of $1 a metre. Felicity Ogilvie reports.
Lake Margaret is one of the state's wettest spots, making it a perfect location for a hydroelectric scheme. The Mount Lyell Mining Company built the station in 1914 to power its copper mine at nearby Queenstown. Almost 100 years later, Lake Margaret is still powering the mine. But the pipeline made from local King Billy pine sprang one too many leaks and had to be replaced. Hydro Tasmania sold off the old King Billy pipeline, and some of it has been bought by the manager of the Wooden Boat Centre, Andy Gamlin, and his son Bass.
There's a nice colour here, isn't it? Yeah, there's been water coming through that little thing and it's stained all that area there.
The men plan to turn the timber into boats and say it's not a pipe dream.
The timber, despite it looking really old on the outside, it's got some fantastic straight grain. The orange sections are so strong. I can't believe how strong the stuff is, and it's so light.
His father says the wood from the bottom of the pipe is in much better condition than the timber from the top.
We've had to discard some wood where it's split, and it was leaking at the top. You might see photographs where the water's squirting out of the top because it's getting the rain, the sun, it's getting everything at the top of it, and the pipes aren't always full, so the water's wet and dry a lot, which is very hard on wood.
The condition of the wood has shaped the design of the sailing boat.
Because the timbers we got were finally too narrow to be used as clinker boat and too thin to be used as for carvel construction, the option we had left with us was to build a strip plank boat where the planks are reasonably thin but can be glued edge to edge.
Andy Gamlin has hired Peter Heading to build the boat.
The timber's as good as it was 80 years ago probably, and it's beautiful timber. It's close grained, there's no knots in it, all the things that you want for boat building, and obviously it's stood 80 years of being immersed in fresh water, so it's not going to fall apart in 5 minutes.
We would hatch with either wedges or corking cotton.
One person who knows the pipeline well is Scott Newitt. He's worked at Lake Margaret for more than 20 years.
We do suffer from certain leaks within the seams which are easily plugged by a King Billy wedge. We usually have a hammer and knock the wedge in.
Yeah, we used to keep the water in,
yep.
you keep the water out.
And I'm trying to keep the water out.
Yeah. It looks really good, looks really good. Whilst some of the boards were not crash hot, others we believe would always serve a further purpose, and I guess that's why they talked to the community, said what should we do, and there's a product of it.
And I've heard that you've actually seen some of the pipeline being used in other ways as you've driven around the state. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I guess it's certainly in Queenstown. There's a van driving around with pipeline boards on it. There's also, I forgot, a house in Kingston, on Kingston Beach, that's been reclad with the pipe boards. People probably drive past there and certainly don't know about it. I've certainly been down taking some photos and think it's absolutely brilliant.
In the shed next door, Andy Gamlin's son Bass is building his own boat. The design of the canoe-sized boat is as old as the salvaged timber. It comes from the lakes of Maine in the USA, and Bass plans to land a trout in his boat.
I think it'll be great for Tasmanian adventuring, places like Southport Lagoon, Arthur's River, and just generally inland places where you can try a bit of trout fishing.
Two-seater or two?
So 3 seats.
3 seats?
Yeah. And
Scott Newish isn't just admiring the transformation of the old pipeline.
And it looks like the timber looks great.
He's also bought some of the old pipeline with the dream of building a boat. And while they're chatting, Bass Gamlin floats an idea.
to approach the centre and...
Yeah, no, definitely, because I don't believe I'll get the time to ever do it. Bass has just said, would you be interested? Yeah, I'll have a chat to him, and I'm only looking at a real little clinker-dingy, so yeah, and I guess from my point of view, it would be a continuing relationship with this timber.